All right. All right, good evening. I'm 5 News Chief Meteorologist Matt Standridge. Our cold front is approaching, and it has sparked a pretty good storm in eastern Oklahoma and LaFleur County. It is crossing the state line as we speak, coming into Arkansas. Right now, it has a hail threat with it. Hailstones about the size of quarters coming in from about Lake Wister Lake, headed eastbound right towards Poto Mountain, Sugarloaf, and then it will be crossing into Sebastian County here soon. The yellow box shows you that severe thunderstorm warning that we have this evening. We are getting all our live platforms ready for you guys as we track this storm, let you know what's going on this evening, letting you know who will be getting a storm overnight tonight and everything like that. But we're watching mainly the River Valley right now for these storms. There is a cell right now popping up in western LaFleur County. This one may track a little bit farther towards the north and east and may clip parts of the northwest Arkansas metro later this evening, but that storm still has a ways to go before it strengthens up. The storm that we have in LaFleur County is the one that we really should watch right now. All right, let's take a closer look at the storm, zooming in. Once again, you may be joining us on our app, on 5 Plus, or also on our social platforms. So let us know if you guys are seeing anything. You can put things in the chat. We've got a digital team monitoring that. Let us know what you guys are seeing. But right now we've got very heavy rain from Poto south to Heavener, mainly on the south side of the downtown. Once you get south of the hospital, south of the LaFleur County Fairgrounds, you've got a lot of heavy rain. And right where you see the lightning, that's where we have that hail core right now, just north of Heavener, very close to Howell, LaFleur County right now. That's where we're getting this hailstorm. This is moving eastbound about 60 miles per hour. This thing is hauling. Also, towards the north, we've got some heavy rain, not producing any hail right now in northern LaFleur County. Right over Bacola and Cameron, this is just skimming the spiral area. Fort Smith, we also have a couple cells forming up over us right now, especially on the north side of town and then right over downtown itself. This line will be moving eastbound towards the rest of Fort Smith as you get closer to the 540 corridor. Van Buren on the west side of town, closer to Dora, we're getting some rain too. And then there's that one cell that's in western Sequoia County. But let's take a closer look at the storm that's just towards our south right now. It's had a history of producing some hail. At times it's been fairly large, and in fact, at times it's been close to golf ball sized hail when you're going over some of these ridges in extreme southern LaFleur County. But you see the lake, there's Lake Wister, hail just on the southeast side of town coming into Howell right now. So Heavener's down here, Howell's about here. This thing is moving north and east. You can see the mountain ranges too. You've got Sugarloaf and then Poto Mountain, and that's where we're getting some of this rain coming in. Heavener, Runestone State Park, you got Poto Mountain. Watch out for the hail coming in towards you guys right now, the town of Heavener too. This is tracking north and east. Mansfield, Greenwood, Waldron, we're also including in the severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued from the National Weather Service. This is a current scan of the hail core right now coming into the west side of Heavener, but this is about 2 or 3 minutes old. You know how radar data is every 5 minutes, so this thing's probably sitting right over Heavener right now, coming right towards the Heavener Runestone State Park, which is just on the west side of these ridges. You can see on the map here as you look a little bit more closely. I'm going to show you what it looks like outside right now from Bacola. You're looking towards Kavanaugh Hill, and you can see that lighting, some pretty good flashes. It just makes the night sky look kind of purplish as that storm approaches Bacola. We've got some storms also back here towards the right-hand side of the screen. Those are not the severe ones. The severe ones are back here towards kind of the left-hand side of the screen. Kavanaugh Hill is about here, and so we're watching some of those storms kind of over here right now, and that's where you're going to see the majority of the lightning as it's moving in this evening. This is a closer view of the hail core. We got a new scan. I want to check that out. Still coming into Heavener right now. Still that severe thunderstorm warning for southern Sebastian County and northern Scott County. I'm going to take a moment and let's take a look at where this thing is going right now for the next about 30 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera back. All right. Zoom back in. So these things are moving about 60 miles per hour. So time this storm out. Heading north and east. Now, this isn't including everyone that's going to get rain, but we're specifically looking at that hail core coming in from Heavener. Time this out, 60 miles per hour. Hartford, 820. You get closer to Mansfield, 828. Washburn, just after 830. And once we get closer to Boonville and Mount Magazine and just the Magazine area, about 855. So here, what time is it? Here in about 30, 40 minutes, we'll start to worry more about Logan County. Right now, we just have that severe thunderstorm warning to really focus in on southern Sebastian County and northern Scott County. You guys west of Boonville and western Logan County, extreme western Logan County, you have the warning right now, but we still probably have another 30 minutes to go before the storm comes in. You see the heart of the storm where you've got the lightning too? That's where we have the hail threat right now. You look a little bit farther north, good rainstorm coming into Bacola. In fact, that's probably going to start to make our view of the Bacola ICAM a little bit harder to see because we're going to get hit from the ICAM with that northern storm. You see several flashes of lightning there off in the distance as you look westbound. Let us know what you guys are seeing where you live. Got a new scan. You can see that coming in. That new scan, we've got quarter to almost golf ball sized hail now being scanned over the town of Huebner. This is moving right towards the Huebner Runestone State Park. You guys anywhere around the hillsides there, you got to be looking out for this one. And it's moving fast too, and some lightning starting to uptick as well. When we notice those upticks in the lightning, that's when you can notice the storm is strengthening pretty decently as well. Northwest Arkansas right now, you may be tuning in. You're thinking, hey, when am I going to get a storm? Right now, we don't have any storms for you guys. There's a wide view of what we're looking at this evening. You look back west, you see that dark green? That's not rain. That's that drier, cooler air that's trying to move in right now. So we've got the front back off towards the west. Anywhere ahead of that is where you're going to get the chance for an isolated storm. We've got 3 pockets to talk about. The first 2 are towards the north. We've got one right near Sallisaw, and we've got another pocket over Van Buren and Fort Smith. It's kind of on and off in Fort Smith. Now it's kind of moving over towards the 540 bridge area on the east side of town, but still staying south of the river. We're going to start getting some of that rain over Fianna Hills, Rye Hill, Riley Farms here very shortly. And then it's going to move towards Fort Chaffee here in the next 15 minutes or so with the heavy rain. But the hail pocket right now is towards our south. This hailstorm is not going to come into Fort Smith. But in Fort Smith, we're about to get some heavy rain. We've had some here and there, especially near downtown and on the north side of town. But there towards Southside High School, we're going to be getting some of that heavy rain here very shortly. All right, so you guys right now in Huebner have kind of the bulk of the storm right now. You go east of the railroad tracks. So Huebner's kind of splits it in 2, but you go east of the railroad tracks, that's where we have the hail core moving right now, headed right towards the Runestone State Park. And you guys on 128, you could have some hail just on the east side of town, but you've got the Runestone State Park right here on the western ridges as you're looking towards Poto Mountain and Sugarloaf. That's where we're watching this hail core moving north and east. You see that darker blue color indicating more of those golf ball sized hail stones that are now forming and trying to fall right now. Once this thing gets over the mountain, there's not a lot to talk about for a moment. We could get some small hail there close to Monroe. Monroe is sitting in between Sugarloaf and Poto Mountain. So Monroe's about here. We could get some of the smaller hail in Monroe. It looks like the larger hail is going to be going right over the Poto Mountain and Huebner Runestone State Park area, and then there's traveling eastbound, kind of staying just north of, it goes from Oklahoma 128 to Arkansas 28, here right over just south of the ridges. But this thing is probably going to cruise over the ridges for a little bit. Mansfield, we're looking down the line for you guys. I think we still have, let me go ahead and time that out one more time. So we're just looking at the hail core itself. I'm going to make that a little wider because these things tend to wobble a little bit. Make it a little bit wider. Look towards the north and east. All right, so new scans, 8:27. Time right now, once again, 8:19. So here in about 8 minutes for Hartford, we could have some hail coming in towards us as this thing is getting very close to the state line right now. Mansfield, 8:34. Waldron, 8:41. The hailstone may stay just north of Waldron. We'll watch. But for now, it looks like it's probably going to go just north of Waldron. So really closer to north of Hahn as you go north of Anderson, right there over Elm Park. And then Lewis and Lucas, and then back west towards Abbott and Mansfield is where we're probably going to get the hail core itself. Boonville still closer to 9 o'clock, about 9 o'clock or so for the Magazine area, and eventually Mount Magazine, just south of Paris. Here's a wide view again of what we're talking about this evening. A couple storms out there, but the big one is here towards the south. We're getting a new scan, a new issuance from the National Weather Service. They're going to be expiring the western portion of the severe thunderstorm warning here shortly. They're so basically trimming it back up towards where the storm is. But the severe thunderstorm warning still continues for southern Sebastian County, northern Scott County, and extreme western portions of Logan County. We also have some storms off towards the north. They're not strengthening so much. We've got a good downpour right now over Van Buren, and then headed north and east towards Mountainburg. Let's go ahead and zoom in on those a little bit too. All right, here's a closer look. You see one storm that's just kind of brushing us by and brushy, and just on the northwest side of Sallisaw, back west towards the racetrack, and then northbound as you go towards McKee. We're watching that storm push into some higher terrain as you get into northern Sequoyah County. Sallisaw, it looks like we're mostly safe from this little storm that's just towards our north and west. You may see a stray lightning bolt or hear a rumble of thunder in Sallisaw as you especially just look off towards that northwestern sky for that bolt. But then we also have this line of some convection, some storms that are going to be parallel with I-49 here soon. We're going to probably get some rain in Mountainburg in the next 5 minutes. Alma, some rain coming in for us. Van Buren, we're getting that heavy rain right now as we speak, especially on the east side of town. And then this thing's going to continue to move east towards Alma itself. But Rudy, we're included in on that too. You got that big quarry, the Preston Quarry, about right here. So if you're living anywhere near the quarry, we're getting that heavy rain. And then back off north and east on 282. Looks like the hail core is starting to strengthen too. Here's that new scan. You see the hail is now right over the Heavener Runestone State Park. So anywhere from the state park north to about Monroe is where we're going to be watching this hail core as it's moving north and east about 60 miles per hour. It's generally starting to leave Heavener. Let us know what you guys saw in Heavener this evening as it's moving north and east. Here's a closer look at just the scan itself. I'm going to move this map, create a new save point so it doesn't keep moving so far towards the west. There we go. All right, so there's the core right now, moving north and east right towards Mansfield. Greenwood, we're also included in the severe thunderstorm warning. We'll see if this thing wobbles. Right now, it's kind of looking more towards the dead center of this warning as you get towards the Mansfield area is where we're really watching. So you go from Monroe to West Hartford, and then eventually get into Frogtown, Huntington, and Mansfield. Midland, we're on the eastern side of the slopes here. We could also get some of that hail here shortly, but if you live anywhere in West Hartford, Frogtown, Monroe, and in Mansfield and Huntington, we're kind of watching next for this hail core as it's moving north and east. This darker blue shows you that golf ball sized hail. You can look westbound and see where we've been. Here's Lake Wister, and you've got the campgrounds there on the eastern side and kind of how it juts out there. We're now in the clear, so around Lake Wister we're clear, but we had some heavy rain. Boy, there was some frequent lightning there for a moment, but now this thing is more towards the east. This is once again a live look in Pensacola. We're looking back towards the south and west. I'm going to move the camera just a touch. I want to move it more directly south. It's that heart of the storm is starting to move out of view, but you're looking towards Kavanaugh Hill. It's mainly been south and east of Kavanaugh Hill is where we've been getting the heart of the storm. Now you're going to see that black thing. That's just the pole on top of the Choctaw Casino that this thing sits on. So it's going to be kind of right in our way. Eventually it's going to move towards the left-hand side of your screen. Kind of put that in perspective. So the screen you're looking now more southeast. So the storm's going to kind of go this way as it heads northeast. But you're going to see that lightning out there. Pretty impressive shot as you're overlooking LeFlore County and you're looking back south towards Poteau Mountain and Sugarloaf. There's some good lightning there too. I may have to move it just a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back to the hail core so you can guys see it right now where it's been too. This is a loop over the past 30 minutes of where that hail core has been, and then the track back off towards the west shows you the past hour where this thing has been. But this thing keeps chugging along across LeFlore County. It just skimmed the south shores of Lake Wister and it's headed north and east. This thing will be in Sebastian County here soon. This white line shows you the state line. So we've got Oklahoma, we got Arkansas. Fort Smith, we're looking okay with this storm. The hailstorm continues to sit towards the south. We do have some rain towards the north though. I'll zoom in once again and show you what I'm talking about. If you guys are tuning in from northwest Arkansas, you guys are lucky. This thing isn't really impacting you. You're good. Now there could be a storm that flares up later this evening over the next hour or so. But I tell you what, there's not going to be many chances after about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. This thing moves out. So this is a very quick hitting system for us with the storm threat. And then we've got to talk about some snow threats as we go a little bit later into, I'm looking up a couple things. Just getting some reports of that hail in Monroe. But we got that heavy rain coming in Sebastian County and Crawford County too. But this hail threat continues to sit here towards the south. Monroe's about here. So this thing is now moving over and leaving the Huebner-Runestone State Park. We're still getting some of that rain, but that hail core is just south of Monroe, coming into Monroe and West Hartford right now. This thing is actively crossing the state line. Monroe is about here, right in this area where my hand is, and then you head east on, well, it goes from 83, and then I think it switches to 96. 96 there in southern Sebastian County. But you've got Apex and West Hartford, and then into the town of Hartford, too. So Apex is about right here. It's very close to the state line. And then you got West Hartford, and then you've got Hartford. This thing is coming right towards you guys, chugging down 83 right now, coming out of Monroe. Once you get east of, you get the post office there. Once you get east of PJ's Country Store, that's on the west side of Monroe. That's where that hail core is right now. It's headed east, just going right through downtown Monroe, 83 east until you hit the state line. And then Apex and West Hartford, we're going to be next. Heavy rain also coming into northern portions of Midland. And we got the heavy rain, especially from Midland northbound, right there towards Montreal on 253 as you get closer to eventually Greenwood. Greenwood, we're about to get slammed with some heavy rain too. But you got Sugarloaf, you've got some of the ridges there. You got Poteau Mountain. We're just all getting some of that heavy rain right over the mountains right now, and then coming down the slopes into Monroe and West Hartford. Looking at some reports, got a report of 1.5-inch size hail back in Howe. Howe's over here. So this thing is really producing some hail this evening. So if you're in the path of this may be something that you think, okay, if you've got the space, bring in the car. But I wouldn't wait too long because this thing is hauling at 60 miles per hour. This storm is wasting no time. But this looks to be the only storm that's really of concern at the moment. You look northbound, we've got some cells coming in across Crawford County. They are flaring up. They are getting stronger, but they're not quite large enough to produce hail at the moment. They're just dropping some good rainfall there from Mountainburg and then north into Winslow and the Chester area, especially just south of Winslow, more towards Chester. Then, of course, you got that cell that popped up on the west side of Salisaw. That's kind of fizzled out a little bit. We may have a new cell that's over Dora right now, but the main concern is the one towards the south. All right, I'm going to take a closer look at the hail core. That hail core, here's the other thing. Monroe, we had a report. You can see where the hail core is on radar. So sometimes the radar is not completely perfect on when it places this. You have the chance to kind of have some liberty with this to move this around just a touch. But man, it looks like kind of got a peak again. You see that even darker blue pixel there as you're crossing the state line right now. So this is now becoming more for Sebastian County as this thing is leaving Monroe right now. You're probably still getting some rain in Monroe if you're tuning in, but the hail core itself has crossed the state line and is crossing the state line. Remember, once again, these scans come in, and they come in about every 3, 4, 5 minutes. And so this thing's probably already a little bit farther towards the east. This is mainly for Sebastian County, very hugging the county line with Scott County and southern Sebastian County. So we're looking towards Apex, West Hartford, Hartford, and then Mansfield. I'm going to go ahead and put another track on this thing. Update the 60 miles per hour. Couple more locations. We've got Mansfield. So West Hartford and Hartford, we're next with this hail core that's moving in. But then Mansfield, we're going to be next. Echo 847, 851 in Washburn, and 859 in Boonville, 905 in Magazine. I'm going to talk to the control room for just a second. We're still watching that hail core. You guys in southern Sebastian County need to be on lookout for this. Hey, Trevor, you got me? Could we do a quick cut-in for about 2 minutes on Channel 5? We'll keep this stream going, but we could restart with that stinger, and then we'll hop on TV. Does that work? Okay. All right, appreciate that. Let me know when you're ready, and then we'll do that. I'll just continue on for now as we watch this hail core moving in. Still pretty good hail core moving in from the west, right there along Arkansas, 96. It goes from 83 to 96 there in the Apex, West Hartford, and Hartford. Anyone near you got the Leatherwood Cemetery, that's just south of, so it'd be south of 96. And then towards, we're looking real rural here. Just kind of skimming the mountain ridges as you go from Poteau Mountain. There's also that Poteau looking tower. Beautiful view there. Podo looking tower is about here. If you guys know where that is, this thing is going to be getting close to you guys too. This thing is just hugging along the terrain. So if you're in the terrain, or if you're just on the northern slopes as you go between Hartford and you're looking there right along 96, that's where we have looking at a couple things off. Yeah, just hail reports coming in. This is mainly a hail report story for us this evening. It looks like the hail core has gone up. We're going to do a restart here just a moment. All right, good evening. I'm 5 News Chief Meteorologist Matt Standards, who want to give you a quick update on what we're seeing this evening. We've got a strong, severe thunderstorm right now crossing Oklahoma into Arkansas in southern Sebastian County. This is a hail core that's moving in. We've got hail reports anywhere from about 3/4 inch to 2 inches in size. We're talking about almost golf ball sized hail falling in this storm. This thing dropped hail from Howell to the Huebner Runestone State Park, and it now is moving into southern Sebastian County. You guys in West Hartford, Apex, Hartford itself, and then Mansfield, we're getting this storm now. It's coming in on our doorstep as we speak. Mansfield would probably have another 5 minutes before the hail core reaches you guys. But this thing is hugging in between the terrain from Podo Mountain to Sugarloaf. There from Monroe, you go out of Monroe and you head into Arkansas. That's where we're getting this hail core right now. Strong to severe storm still pushing east. You see that yellow box that shows you the severe storm that's been warned. Back off towards the north right now, we're looking good in northwest Arkansas. We've got cells that are just clipping parts of southern Sebastian County close to Sunset right now. But more storms off towards the south, and that's Sunset, Arkansas, not the actual Sunset. But we've got more storms from Crawford County moving east into Franklin County. These are not severe right now, but we're starting to notice some lightning strikes forming. These storms may be the next ones that try to blow up and become severe later on. But right now, metros in northwest Arkansas, you're good. Fort Smith right now, we had some heavy rain on the north and west side of town, and then on the south side of town, we just got clipped. We've got a good rain pocket right now over Fort Chaffee, but it's this storm that continues to produce large hail. We got a new scan too, so we've got up to golf ball sized hail right now falling in parts of southern Sebastian County. Here's a closer look. You can see the terrain. When you take off the rain, this thing is hugging right next to the ridges of Podo Mountain. If you know where the Podo Mountain or the Podo Lookout Tower is, that's about here. That's coming right towards you guys. Now you may see Hartford, Apex, oh, we're fine. Now with radar, it's not completely perfect. This thing can be nudged a little bit. We've had some hail reports over from Monroe. We've also probably going to get some of that hail over Apex, West Hartford, and then this thing is still getting close to Mansfield. I'd say especially on the south side of Mansfield is where you need to watch, but you've got you see the kind of the blue lake here. Just off the outside, you've got the Mansfield, the juvenile center. That thing is headed towards you guys. If you know what I'm talking about, you got Park Lake, and you also have Lake Spur on the south side, Bethel Cemetery. This is just all south of Mansfield. This is where this thing is going. It is just chugging along the terrain right now, heading north and east, about 60 miles per hour. Here's that warning, the full warning. This thing will continue to move north and east at 60. So when we plan this out, this is just showing you the latest scan right now. Continue to push this out. We can watch out for that hail core moving near Mansfield. Here at 8:37 time right now, 8:34. So here in the next few minutes, handful of minutes, we'll be watching that hail. Waldron, this thing may be just north of us, but just tracking towards the Waldron area, close to 8:45. And then eventually, it probably will survive and make its way into Logan County, Boonville, about 8:57. If you want continuing coverage of the storm, feel free to download our 5 News app. It's free. We have that live stream there. We're also live on 5+. We're also live on our social platforms as well, on YouTube and on Facebook. If you want continuing coverage, make sure you tune in there. We're going to send it back to programming, but make sure you keep it local, keep it here. As always, we'll keep you advised.
Minutes Sunday on CBS.
Tough as Nails honors the men and women who show up to work every day to prove who's the toughest of them all.
Knock me down, I'll get back up again.
A new Tough as Nails next on CBS and streaming on.
All right, we're back. We're tracking this storm coming in from the west. As a little look at some CVS, what we got going on this evening. We are not on TV wall to wall, what we call it, when we're just nonstop, just because we don't have a tornado. That's usually our policy with tornadoes. This is a good hailstorm, though, in the River Valley. It is now fully out of Oklahoma. If you live in Oklahoma, I think you're good for tonight. This thing is all pushing eastbound. That cold front continues to push east and is sending that severe firing zone farther east as well. National Weather Service has now just canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for LeFlore County. You see that blinking right now? Kind of see it maybe better right here. You see that yellow line blinking? This is the new warning. Greenwood, it looks like Greenwood's going to be clipped out of this new warning. But you live back west, Poteau, especially on the east side towards the airport, Robert Kerr Airport, we're getting still some of that rain. That's going to be leaving here shortly. That's not severe. All right, there you go. Warning expired for LeFlore County. We no longer have any warnings in Oklahoma. This is just a storm that's in Sebastian County, really. Northern Scott County, we're just kind of getting skimmed. This is mainly southern Sebastian County from Greenwood south. You do see some of that rain now leaving Fort Chaffee, there towards kind of the main depot. This is now moving towards the eastern end of Fort Chaffee. You can kind of see Fort Chaffee with that darker brown color on the map. This is over the eastern end of Fort Chaffee, there towards Bloomer and Lavaca. You go northbound, Alma, we've got some good rainfall for us too. In the north to Mountainburg, we've had that rain. We're watching these cells continue to move and kind of grow over time. Notice that little cell that just popped up near Cedarville and Uniontown. You guys near Natural Dam, we've got a little storm around us. That's moving north and east. It's not going to last long for us, but it's going to move north and east and head towards Winslow and Chester. We still have that cell that kind of just skimmed by the Brushy and Salisaw area. That thing is also moving north and east. That may come into parts of southern Washington County here shortly. The only severe thunderstorm warning that we have is southern Sebastian County. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to show you this whole system that we're watching. I got to move a couple things. This was back from earlier, so I haven't had a chance to move it just yet. Cold front should be about there. Center of low pressure is about over Wichita. Warm front's about, we'll put it a little bit farther north now. All right, so now that you can see the update there, this is the storm that's sparking all this weather this evening. We've also have a few more storms there closer to Idabel. We don't have to worry about that one. That's probably coming in towards Mena here within the next 20 minutes or so. But we have that severe storm south of Fort Smith, Greenwood south towards Hartford, Mansfield, Midland. This is the storm for us. Notice on the back side, though, we've got some snow over across Kansas as this low pressure moves in. You know, northwest Arkansas, we're not getting so much when it comes to storms, but we may get some rain changing over to snow later tonight as this thing moves in. And when I say later tonight, I really mean tomorrow morning. Right as the sun is starting to rise, we finally may start to see some snow trying to move in. That's something that we'll be watching very closely for you guys. Wake Up with meteorologist Zach Scott. Hell of an update for you guys there on that storm as it's coming in, kind of the final wave coming in right now. All right, I'm just resetting a couple things on some platforms. Just a second. So if we look back real quick, you're going to see the map with the colder air. I still have to move the front because these maps were built for our 6 o'clock newscast. See that cooler air coming in, and that's what's helping spark these storms right now. The front's about here, so in between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Once it moves out, temperatures are going to plummet tonight. We're going to head back to 30s and 40s, and then we're going to stay there for the next couple of days. All right, there's that. Let's head back to the storm. All right, you got the low pressure just towards north and west. Warm air, we're in the warm pocket right now, the cold front marching east. We've got these cells that continue to cross the state line. Looks like we've got a new cell. This one may struggle a bit because we're back towards some cooler air right now, but looks like we do have a cell that's west of Sequoia County. This is going to be west of Vian and Weber's Falls. We'll watch that storm, but right now we have the one severe storm in southern Sebastian County. Snow back off towards the north. This is the thing that's impacting us tonight. Here's a closer look at that severe storm. No longer in Oklahoma. The severe threat continues to push eastbound right now, just hugging right along Arkansas 96. Mansfield, coming in towards Mansfield High School. Mansfield High School on the east side of town. That's where we have this hail core coming in. It looks like most of the hail, though, is staying on the south side, though. You kind of go, you're sandwiched in between those mountain ridges from Sugarloaf south to Poto Mountain is where we're watching the hail core itself. I see even some purple showing up. So we've got golf ball sized hail right now. I'm going to try to change something real quick. See if we get a current look. Just estimating off the radar right now. 1.4, 1.2. So yeah, about golf ball sized hail on the storm as we're just south of Mansfield. But anywhere you see the gray color, you could have some hail falling. And that extends northbound. This storm has kind of grown in its size. We could even have some very small hail on the south side of Greenwood. The heart of the hail, though, is farther south. But hail looks like it's reporting on the radar anywhere from from Cawthron, which is on the south side of the ridges there in Scott County. You go north right into Mansfield. There's the James Fork. They got the James Fork River that feeds into James Fork Lake. That comes north into Mansfield. That's where we have that hail core tracking in as well. So anywhere from James Fork area towards south side of Mansfield is where we're watching this hail core. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for southern Sebastian County, northern Scott County, and western Logan County. Logan County, we're probably next to get that warning. That's probably going to fill in a little bit more. We'll see if it's tilted a little bit farther south, just because this thing has been chugging a little bit farther south. It needs some of that warm air, and so it may continue to do that. It's kind of following these ridges as you go between Tate and Waldron, and we'll watch for that. But anywhere south of Mansfield, that's where we're getting this hail right now. They're over the Bethel Cemetery, Lake Spur. That's all about here. That's where we're watching right now. This is a live look in Pecola. I'm going to move the camera just a little bit more towards the left because that's where the storm is moving from this camera's perspective. I'll move it just a touch. But you can see that frequent lightning there. Looks pretty gnarly off in the distance, doesn't it? Lots of lightning flashes there over the ridge. Yeah, you're totally getting a show. It went from Pecola. And the storm still kind of sags south. I mean, most of that eastern sky, oh, you see that bolt? Most of that eastern sky is being filled right now with lightning. So you're looking from Pecola, from the Choctaw Casino, where we're in the clear now. Lots of lightning there off in the distance. This is all in Sebastian County, looking at this storm. Midland, Mansfield, Hartford, we've got some hail in the area, so you got to watch out for that. And this thing is moving west towards Logan County. You guys in the Boonville area, even if you live 10 minutes outside of Boonville, this thing it looks like it's barreling towards you guys. This is where it's headed next, going right along Arkansas, 96 into Mansfield, and then eventually towards Boonville, probably getting closer to Abbott and Lucas here shortly, Barber, Washburn, and Boonville here in just a bit. We'll go back to the camera here in a moment. There's the hail core, current scan, south side of Mansfield. They're right over that treatment center, the juvenile treatment center. They're off of, I'm trying to remember, it was Lake. I forgot the name of the lake. You go a little bit farther east, you got Lake Spur. All right, new severe thunderstorm warning coming from the National Weather Service in Little Rock. It's going to trim some of the warning of Scott County. If you live back west, if you're towards Bates and Cawthron, you're probably coming out okay now, or Black Fork even. Back on the west side, you're going to be cleared out of this severe thunderstorm warning. This thing is going to stay mainly southern Sebastian, northern Scott, headed north and east, right along 96. This is very close to the Rock Creek Church. You go northbound, you go to Mansfield Lake, and you head right towards downtown. That's where we're watching some of the hail too. But the larger hail is probably from about downtown southbound. It's really on the south side of downtown. Once you leave Mansfield and you're trying to head south towards Waldron, they're right off of 71. That's where we're getting this hailstorm. All right, zooming out just a bit. This shows you the past. The whole line itself shows you about the past hour, and then you can see the past couple of scans over the past 30 minutes, but you can see where this thing has been. It picked up steam past Tallahena, Cruz, just on the south side of Lake Wister, Howell, Heavener. We picked up some hail. Monroe is one of our biggest hail reports that we've had this evening. They're about 2 inches. I'm trying to look at any more hail reports. Looks like near Barling, we had about 3/4 size, so just under about a nickel-sized hail there in Barling. Let's see. Because it looks like even though the heart of the hail is towards the south, you guys may still be getting some small pockets of hail just kind of area-wide as the whole storm moves east. Here's the other thing. These storms have some cool air to work with, and so they don't have to be all that strong to even produce some small hail, but we're mainly concerned about the larger hail, and I can show you what I'm talking about. This may get kind of towards the nitty-gritty, but I just want to show you exactly what we're talking about here in the atmosphere. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Here is, we call this a cross section, and so we're now diving into the storm for a second. Have to do this on the fly just because it's hard to do offhand. What I'm doing is I'm scanning the atmosphere, so I'm scanning over Mansfield right now, and what we're looking at are these colors. Here towards the left-hand side of your screen, we've got these numbers. If you see the dark red, so when you're looking at the colors right now, you got medium red, but this dark red, you see this dark red go above the white line that's showing you 20,000 feet? That's where you got hail. In fact, when you look at this hail core, we can actually see where the hail is with Max Doppler 5. You're looking over the mountain ridges, and you see that purple right there. See that purple hanging up there? What's happened is we've thrown some raindrops up, and now they're just circling in the cloud. We can see them circling, and then you can see where they drop. And you know how it's not consistent everywhere. You got to drop just on the south side of Mansfield. You got to drop back west towards the Poto looking tower. That's where we've got some hail. You can also see in the purple, even larger hailstones. You can see what they're doing right now. They're actually circling. They're elevated. They're sitting upside of the thunderstorm, trying to get bigger and bigger before they drop out. So what we're watching right now is the evolution of hailstones growing, and then we just got a new scan. Looks like it kind of edited more towards the north. We're watching this pocket, and eventually it's going to drop. Where is it going to drop? Probably just south of Mansfield. But that's where we have the largest hail. You look northbound, we scan the atmosphere farther towards the north. You're still hitting that white line. We don't have as much of the dark red. That's really when you start to look at some large hail. But you have the medium red. That's when you can get tiny hailstones. But we've got them right over Mansfield. And then farther north too. As you look towards Huntington and Dayton, you guys, Witcherville, Midland, we've had some. Abbott, there north and east towards Dayton. And eventually we're going to move this all into Logan County. But you can see in the atmosphere, rain moving up, that's caught in an updraft, creates the hail and then falls out. We're going to keep watching that hail core. Look at this. We're scanning over the mountains. See a good pocket of hail there, just on the south side of Mansfield. But anywhere around Mansfield, you can probably get some hail out of this storm. I'm going to get us out of this mode. We'll take a look at this here in just a bit. I know sometimes it can get confusing, but you can literally see where the hail is, and then the next scan, it can keep it up there, or you can see it actually dropping, and you can see exactly where it dropped. But there in and around Mansfield is where we got it. Now this thing is moving a little bit farther east, though. Let's take a look. This thing is about to cross just south of Mansfield, and then near the Hahn and Oliver area. You can see 71. If you live anywhere between Mansfield and Waldron, around 71, if it doesn't take you too long to get to 71, you've got hail in the area too. It looks like we've got some hail reporting north of that main core. You see this, and look north towards Washburn. We've got some hail too. Let us know what kind of hail that you're getting. You may not even get the core of the hail, but you may get some hail too. You may not get the largest hailstone. It's not a competition. You don't want the hail for sure, because after this, if you get hail damage, we're going to get cold the next couple of days, and that's not fun. We're watching that hail core, though, mainly south of Mansfield, but generally hail in southern Sebastian County and northern Scott County, too. Taking a closer look at just the current scan. Took the other scans off. We got a new severe thunderstorm warning. This one's coming in for Madison and Franklin County. I'll show you that in just a moment. But we're watching the hail core now move pretty much solidly into Scott County. Remember, these scans can be a couple minutes late, just because by the time they get in, and then the storm's already moved a little bit. This thing is probably coming right towards Booth and Elm Park right now. That's where the hail core, the largest hail, is going to be reporting. There towards Lewis, Elm Park. You've got Brushy Creek, and you're looking north. You got the Arkansas There's that landing strip. That's kind of in the mountain just off of 71, about right here. We've got hail core coming towards you guys. That landing strip that's off of 71. You're looking northbound on 71. You go to Elm Park and Lewis and the Windows Farm, the Cedar Grove Cemetery, which is kind of about in here. That's where we're watching the hail too. This is mainly all south of Mansfield, south and east of Mansfield. You get out of Mansfield, you're headed south to Waldron. That's where the largest hail is. I'm going to zoom out for a second. Show you that new severe thunderstorm warning for southern Madison County. This is deep in waterfall territory as you're in just south of Huntsville. They're closer to Japton, north of Boston. Looks like the cell back towards the west. This thing has really grown. We'll have to watch this, but it looks like we've got 2 severe thunderstorms, mainly hail threats. One in the River Valley, moving north and east. Got another pushing across southern Madison County. Let me, I'll put back in, sorry, there we go. There's a hail track towards the south. Got that next hail track coming in towards Madison County. This one isn't as strong, but you can see how it's just past Bidville. I mean, we're talking about rural Madison County. Beautiful waterfalls out here, though. You get on Winslow and you head east towards Huntsville and St. Paul. That's where we've got some hail coming in deep into the Boston Mountains there, southern Madison County. We'll keep our eye on that. We've also got to keep our eye on the biggest storm. We kind of have 2 pockets of hail, though, in the storm that's in Sebastian County. Looks like we've got some hail in this northern section of the storm. That's now pretty much solidly in Franklin County for that smaller hail pocket. That'll be coming into Charleston, Branch, and Ratcliffe, and Coxville. You guys are getting some of that rain too. Let's just check out the whole storm itself. Once again, moving about 60 miles per hour. These things are wasting time for no one. There you go. All right, timing this all out. This is the whole pocket of storms that we have, not individual hailstones. We'll take a look at the hail core itself in northern Scott County, headed to Logan County in just a moment. But this line of storms that's moving eastbound, Paris just after 9 o'clock. Just a reminder, time right now 9:52. You're at 9:02 right now for that timing. So here in 10 minutes, 9:16 for Clarksville. Here in about 20 to 25 minutes, Lamar. Even later than that, closer to 9:30 or so, and then the 9:40 to 9:50 time frame as you go east to Dover and Russellville. But Franklin County, we're getting that rain from Charleston and Coxville and Ratcliffe and Branch. We're getting some of that rain now too, north to Cecil and Webb City. Heavy rain coming in towards us, and then you go north of towards I-40, and you cross over into Ozark and White Oak too. I'm gonna move just a second, show you the camera from Bacola, and then eventually in Fort Smith. This is live look in Bacola. You're looking towards the lightning with that hail core. We've got south and east of Mansfield. Boonville, you're next. This thing is headed towards you guys with some of this hail. Let us know what you guys have seen. I'm gonna move the camera just a bit more. You're overlooking some of the parking lots there. Choctaw Casino, you can see Fort Smith there on the left-hand side of your screen, but some frequent lightning there. Live look in Fort Smith, we've had the rain. You can see the pavement's pretty wet there too. I'm gonna switch this out and see if we can view, let's see. I'm gonna take a look. This is an Ozark. You're gonna see some lightning now too. I'm gonna keep this camera up. I'm gonna change banner really quick. There we go. All right, so you're looking live in Ozark. They're brought to you by the Arkansas Valley Electric and Wave. Some flashes of lightning becoming more frequent. You're overlooking the Arkansas River. There's Ozark is on the left-hand side of your screen. You got the bridge there, and you're looking east towards Clarksville. But we've got the frequent lightning coming in, southern Franklin County, especially, even northern Franklin County, you have some lightning, but this core of some of the heavier rain and lightning is in the south, moving eastbound towards Johnson County. Johnson County, we're next as we watch the storm come in. Closer look at that hail core. Man, this thing has gotten really large. We have some general hail around it too. You can see the gray, but this hail pocket, this thing is one you do not want to mess with. I'm going to take a couple things off, just estimating the latest size. Over 2 inches in size. And that's all headed, I mean, they're over golf ball size tail. Eventually, if you get closer to 2.5, just to put that in perspective, that's tennis ball size tail. And, well, it looks like well, that's 1.5. Let's see. Looks like about 2, give or take. Just a little bit. That's our current hail core size right now. This thing moving north and east. As promised, I'm going to show you now where this thing is going next. Kind of estimating its speed. You got Tate here anytime now. Anytime. This scan is usually a minute or so late, so this thing's probably sitting about right here. Tate, we've got it right along the Logan County and Scott County line with that hail. North to Boonville, about 9:03. So here in just under 10 minutes, this thing's going to be coming in towards us. We're starting to get that rain coming in from the west, depending on where you live around Boonville, especially on the west side. Lightning, and then also some smaller hail back off towards the north. But that main hail core, this will do some damage. This kind of hail eventually could knock out some windshields on cars if they're parked outside. So if you live in western Logan County, you got to be on the lookout for this. This thing is headed towards Boonville. Tate, you're included as well. But 2-inch sized hail, you're getting dangerously close to about tennis ball sized hail. That will put cracks in a windshield. That will also dent your vehicle. So keep that in mind. If you live in Boonville, east to Magazine, and then Mount Magazine, Blue Mountain, you may have time, next 5-10 minutes, bring in the car. Go ahead. If you got some space, you got that new severe thunderstorm warning being issued by the National Weather Service in Little Rock. It now includes all of Logan County. Yep, all Logan County. And then northern Scott County. Eventually this warning will be expired by the National Weather Service. Let's see. Just kind of reading a couple of things. Yeah, 2-inch sized hail coming in towards Logan County. Looks like a new scan came in. It just dropped it just a bit. That's some good news. But we also have that severe thunderstorm warning towards the north too. We've got the hail pocket, southern Madison County. That one is not nearly as strong, but it's something to watch. If you live near St. Paul, Japton, anywhere south of Huntsville, and southern Madison County, we have some hail for us too. But it's that main hail core that we have back towards the west. Wide view again. Still have that storm that's strengthening. This is coming in right over Lake Tenkiller. You see the darker green and then the blue. There's Lake Tenkiller. This thing is hitting us there towards Chicken Creek. This thing is moving north and east too. This may come eventually towards northwest Arkansas. We're good for the moment, but if this thing keeps up, we'll get hit. Here from Fayetteville north to here to Bentonville, we could have that. Now here towards the south, Paris and Boonville, we're now getting some of that heavy rain too. And it's coming down. Looks like there's a tiny bit of rotation too. Let's analyze something. All right, we do have some rotation. This is something that we need to watch. If you live in southern Logan County, you got to be on the lookout for this storm. This thing is starting to rotate here on its south side. We do have that rotation there over Tate. Getting in from the National Weather Service. Still watching the hail threat too, but this is a good rotating storm right now. Let's see, crossing 71. Let me put on the rotation so you can see it as long there with me. There, you see that rotation right now? So, rotation there, southern Logan County, with hail on the north side. When you get in a situation like this, usually the rotation and the hail try to separate. You got the hail on the north side, rotation there on the south side right now. So let's go ahead and watch this. This is moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. Let me zoom in just a little bit closer. All right. All right, so you guys on Arkansas 23 coming out of the Elm Springs area. This is where the rotation is. This thing is headed north and east. This is very close to, we're rural. This is Lake Tequima, And Freedom Creek's about here. You got Lake Takema here. This is all south of Carolyn. This rotating storm, this does not have a tornado warning on it, but it is something to watch. I'm going to take a look at the correlation of this storm. This is helpful in order to see if anything's hitting the ground. Kind of go back and forth. Don't quite see anything on the ground at the moment, but this thing is sharply rotating right now. Here's isolating just the wind. But we do have that rotation there crossing the county line, northern Scott County, southern Logan County. This rotation will move north and east, and let's see who's in the path of this. All right, so if you live in Carolyn, Boonville, here momentarily, we've got the rotating storm near us. Once again, of course, you got hail generally on the north side. So hail probably really coming towards the county or the cities that you see with the blue dots, Carolyn, Boonville, and Magazine. Hail coming in for us. We'll watch that rotation too. The rotation may just stay on the south side. You've got Arkansas 23 that kind of wraps a little bit farther towards the north. You live south of 23. That's where we have the heart of the rotation right now. Still no word from the National Weather Service if they're going to issue a tornado warning on this. But this is coming right over Wiley Cemetery, headed north and east on 23. The Bloodsworth Cemetery, I mean, we're still sitting pretty rural here in northern Scott County, southern Logan County. You come out of Boonville on 23, and you head south, and eventually you go by the Hopewell Cemetery and Jean's Flea Market. That's kind of near here, near Carolyn. You go to the Pettigene River. That's just north. But I'm just kind of listing out some names. You guys in the area know, oh, I know I live by that. I got to pay attention. Got hail on the north side. The hail is coming very close to Boonville. And then we've got that rotation there on the south side of town. Here's the latest scan. It looks like the hail has gone down just in the past scan or two. Very large hail fell right over 71 near Elm Park. And now it's moving north and east. A little bit weaker, but we still have quarter-sized hail. That's still severe. That still do some damage. It will definitely put some small dents on your truck or your car. Moving north and east. Here's Boonville. So once you head south of Boonville, eventually Arkansas 23 kind of hugs the terrain here. You kind of make that bend. You kind of bend towards the right if you're going south. And you head right towards Carolyn Cemetery. And then eventually towards the Ion Baptist Church and the Rogers Scout Reservation there, south towards Keenan Lake. Keenan Lake's about here. If you live near Keenan Lake, we're getting some of that hail momentarily too. Back to rotation. Looks like that storm has really wrapped up here. What I'm doing right now is, you see the iPad, I'm watching here just towards the side. It is hard to say. This thing is wrapped up. I would treat this as if this could potentially put down a tornado at any time. This is quite a rotating storm right now. I'm looking at some of the correlation throughout the radar beam, and we see a lot of hail in the radar beam too. But there's this pocket of blue here just on the north side of Tate. That's something to watch. Hail is getting kind of messed in right now with that rotation. But there is an indication that something shouldn't belong in the radar beam on the north side of Tate. We got to just keep that in mind. Rotation here, southern Logan County. This is south of Boonville. I mean, we're rural Logan County. There towards Keenan Lake, off of 23. You've got the French Prairie Cemetery north. Looks like the scan went down. That's good. Let me loop this over the past 15 minutes. Yeah, we have maybe one scan. This thing's rotating. You just got to watch this rotation as it's moving north and east. You got Magazine, you got Boonville. The rotation should stay just towards our south. You can see that tight rotation, though, in the radar beam. Let's see. Yeah, Keenan Lake, that's kind of one of the main, and Lake Takema, that's just outside of Tate. Lake Takema, Keenan Lake, kind of some smaller lakes, pushing east. Lots of lightning too. Let's take a look at what it looks like outside. This live look in Bacola. You see the frequent lightning out there too. So you're looking from the Choctaw Casino. You can see there's Fianna Hills, kind of in the terrain. You see Fort Smith. So you're looking eastbound, and there's a whole line of storms right now. We've just been focused on the main storm itself, which has dropped hail and has a rotation. But look, we've got a whole line of storms that are pressing east right now. We've got them over Franklin County, Johnson County. We're starting to get some of that rain, especially west of Clarksville. Getting some of that rain now too towards Altus and Coal Hill and Hartman and Hunt and Woodland. It's going to be picking up for us. This section of the storm is not severe. But we do have that severe thunderstorm warning that does now include Clarksville, but it's looking at the storm towards the south where we have that rotation, and we also have the lightning and the hail right now. Still, storm continues to grow over Lake Tenkiller. That'll be crossing into Adair County here shortly. Westville, Stillwell, you guys on the lookout for this. This thing eventually has nowhere to go but into parts of northwest Arkansas. We also have some small flare-ups on the southeast side of Fayetteville. That's close to just outside the university, headed east towards the Goshen area, Sonora. We may even get clipped as this thing moves north and east, but they're towards Goshen. Watch out, we got some downpours for us. This is mainly going to avoid downtown Fayetteville for these cells, but we may not be okay in downtown Fayetteville later on because we've got that nasty cell that's still growing over parts of Lake Tenkiller coming in from eastern Oklahoma. But the cell off towards the south continues to put down some good hail. Now the hail core is south of Boonville, but we probably have some hail just around Boonville itself. Let us know what you guys are getting, but this thing is so large that we're watching the hail core itself. And when we say that, that means the heart of the hail, where it is falling. But a lot of these hailstones, with the crazy winds higher up in the atmosphere, they can be thrown out of that core. And so what you're watching right now is as that south wind comes in, is taking some of the hail out of the core and throwing it north. And so you see some of those hailstones. Now, not all of them get thrown, but a couple of them do. And that's why you don't see as the higher result from the radar beam, but you are noticing some small hail. So some of these hailstones thrown out, but they're on the south side of the storm is where we have our main pocket of hail. This is a closer look just at the main scan itself. I'm going to go back to velocity. Once again, we have rotation on this storm. And it was pretty, and it's still pretty tight. Very good spin on the south side of this storm. Moving north and east. This thing is going over the Buck Ridge shooting range and the Mixon Cemetery, Helton Cemetery. I mean, we're deep in some of the terrain here. We're just outside the cities, which is good. But from Boonville south, new scan coming in. Still some good rotation on that storm as it's moving east. Still, once again, about 60 miles per hour. There outside of you got Waldron. Waldron's about here. So this is all north of you guys. So Waldron, I think we're in the clear on this storm. But we do have that rotation there on the south side, southern Logan County. A look at the hail. You see the evolution of the hail too. This thing's been dropping hail all the way since Tallahena. And then we had about an inch hailstone report there near Howe, and then on the north side of Heebner. And then the hail continued to just fall right over Poda Mountain, or Runestone State Park, and just chugged along, especially south of Mansfield. We still got some hail thrown around Sebastian County, but the heart of the hail was just south of Mansfield. They're off of, you go on South Main Street and you head out of town. Just outside of town on Main Street, that's where you got the good hail. Hail coming dangerously close to Boonville. I'll zoom in now, because some of this hail is starting to get out of, you can see what I'm talking about. I mean, you see Tate, Golden City, Grayson. You're still in some of the terrain here. Here's Boonville. So outside of Boonville, you head south on 23. You see kind of the bend in the road. That's where we're getting the Boonville Human Development Center. You got that tuberculosis center, I think, from Arkansas. And then you head east to 217. You see wrapping on 217 right there. There's 217. Hail coming in towards you guys as well. But this is so if you're in Boonville, you got 10, which goes right through. You got the high school on the north side. You got the Walmart that's there on the east side. This is the heavy hail. The large hail is going to be south of Walmart. They're on Sugar Grove Road as you're going outside of Boonville. That's where you got to watch out for this hail. This thing's moving north and east towards eventually Sugar Grove, towards the Pettigene River. You see it coming out over Blue Mountain Lake. So, all right, let me move over just a little bit. All right, so you got Blue Mountain Lake. Pettigene River comes out of it towards Sugar Grove. That's where we're watching the hail right now, just south of the town of Mansfield, or sorry, Magazine. There's towards you got Blue Mountain, and then right along the shores, you've got the Blue Mountain Lake camping area, that recreation area. That's where the hail's headed towards next. Corley, you're next too, but maybe another 10 minutes or so. But Magazine and Cawthron, that's where we're watching some of this hail too. Looking at some reports, we had golf ball sized hail in Elm Park. That thing just plowed right through Elm Park earlier and is still moving and chugging along eastbound. A little bit weaker than it has been, but we've got hail all around Boonville, but the largest hail south of Walmart. You go north of Walmart, north of 10 towards Cawthron, and then even farther north towards Chisholmsville. That's where we have some of the smaller hail, but still, it could be loud out there. You got some heavy rain too. I'm gonna show you what it looks like here on just radar itself. Lots of heavy rain. So we've just been looking at the hail. You think, Matt, it's pouring where I live. Oh yeah, it is. We've got heavy rain all throughout the Eastern River Valley now. Clarksville, that new issuing of the severe thunderstorm warning keeps you guys locked and loaded for this severe thunderstorm warning. That also includes Knoxville. As we get close to the Arkansas River, that's where we kind of have the edge of this severe thunderstorm warning. There's now filled in. But with still some rotation on the south side with some of that hail. And then heavy rain continues north. Ozark, we're finally clearing out now, but it's right over towards Altus and Coal Hill. There in Webb City, and coming out of Whitaker Village, there's Altus and Alex, Roseville, Gray Rock, Paris, and Carbon City. Let's kind of take a look at Logan County itself. We can kind of split Logan County up a little bit. Southern Logan County has a threat for the large hail. You go towards northern Logan County, Paris, east of Subiaco, Shoal Creek, heavy rain. But this hail pocket, which is about right here south of Boonville, may eventually move more towards Subiaco and Shoal Creek. It may stay just south of Paris, but in Paris we'll probably get some maybe small pea-sized hail, but the large hail, hail the size of golf balls, will be just towards our south. Large storm off towards the west. Just take a closer look at that too. We're going to do another scan of the atmosphere and see what we got. So we are going to look as we're cutting the atmosphere in half. We're going to slice this storm. So this is pretty cool. I won't do this for long because it can get confusing. What we're looking at right now is how far up the thunderstorm goes. And tonight, our situation, and it changes every severe weather system, so that's why you get meteorologists to kind of analyze this data. So that's why you have a meteorology team. This kind of is the reason why. When you're looking at this is called a cross-section of the storm, we're looking at what the radar beam is seeing higher up, not necessarily what's falling. And what we're noticing is some small hail pockets trying to form. We've got a freezing level at 20,000 feet, so whenever you see the dark red color go above 20,000 feet, that's when you're taking these raindrops and you're freezing them and you're making hailstones. So generally, rule of thumb, dark red above 20,000 feet. And let's scan it. We just got a scan and it kind of moved on us. You look farther south towards Gore, headed eventually near evening shade. You've got some of this medium red. It's not really popping up the dark red and pink, so that's some good news. But we are noticing here on the south side, the storm has gotten a little bit taller. Eventually could try to produce some hail, but right now it's not producing hail or anything substantial. You know, it could throw a tiny tic-tac of a hail pellet, but right now it's not. As we're looking west, you just passed, let's see, Lake Tenkiller. Here's Lake Tenkiller. This is on the southeast side of the shores there, kind of skimming towards Tahlequah. Headed east eventually, northeast towards the northwest Arkansas area, but this storm is not severe, not producing hail at the moment. All right. There's reloading. All this is brought to you by this nice cold front that's still coming in from the west right now. Snow wrapping in behind it too. Here's a closer look. I went ahead and moved these. But cold front continues to march east. Anywhere east of the cold front, we're watching these storms fire up. This one's looking healthier over time. You can see the lightning picking up. So right now it's not throwing out too much hail. That's probably going to change here soon. This thing is growing. We've got some snow there on the backside. Some of us could get clipped by some snow later into tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at the storm towards Logan County once again. Looks like the rotation's kind of falling apart a little bit. You have some rotation, but it's not quite as tight and robust as it was. But still, the atmosphere is rotating on the south side of this storm. Even if it doesn't, produce a tornado, rotation in the atmosphere actually helps produce hailstones too. It kind of keeps everything separate. You can get the hail to go up and then it can fall. When those things kind of align, it gets messy. But when they're separate, they can be healthy. And right now, the storm is pretty healthy. It's got the rotation. It's also got some of that large hail coming in right over Blue Mountain Lake, Magazine, there towards the campgrounds on the north shores of Blue Mountain. And then north and east to Paris and Driggs. We've got some small hail near Coxville too. This is all headed north and east. Subiaco, Shoal Creek, Scranton and Clarksville, Lamar, Knoxville. We're next with this storm. We're watching this thing get closer. We still have some time around the Clarksville area, but this thing is headed north and east right now. Let's go back to, let's see. I'm going to pause this for just a moment. Take a closer look at the hail on the south, the southern storm, and then we'll take a look at the hail on that northern storm. This is a better example because the other one's still growing. I do think that one's going to become a threat later on. We're in the terrain, so it gets tough around Blue Mountain. But you see the darker red that we're talking about right here, and some purple. If you go any worse than dark red, then that also counts too. But the threshold is that dark red, which is about that 45 dBz. But you see the purple. Once that gets over 20,000, that's when you start producing some hail. You go south of 20,000, we're still too warm. This is mainly just very, very heavy rain. So it looks like the hail pocket is weakening over time because I'm not seeing the storm producing as much here at the moment, which is good. And you just got your new scan too. Isn't it kind of cool to see how the atmosphere works on the back end? We dove deep into the storm, and notice our latest hail core size too is now lower. This thing has gotten weaker. Those hail pockets those hailstones themselves are not going as high up in the atmosphere right now. They're not getting into the coldest air, so they're not going to get as large. And so that's why our hailstone sizes have gotten smaller now on the south side of Magazine. Here's Blue Mountain. So we've got some smaller hail coming into Blue Mountain. Still that severe thunderstorm warning. But the hail is not as robust as it was, especially when it crossed 71 there towards Elm Park. Boy, that was some large hail. But looking with that cross section, we saw how the hail is not, or that rain is not getting as high up into the cold air. If you can't get into the cold air, you can't freeze it. And it's not freezing as much right now. Hailstones reduced in size. Let's look north though. And you also see that storm that we were talking about near Lake Tenkiller. That's starting to grow. And then you've got the hailstones that have been following Madison County. This storm has not been so impressive. Looks like this storm is probably going to lose its warning here soon. The heart of the heavy rain is now crossing eastbound towards Ponca. But Venus and Boston, the rain is coming to an end for us. Now, we're not completely out of the woods yet because we still have that storm back towards our west. That's something that we're going to have to watch. But storm in Madison County, this warning will probably go here in a bit. Keep our eyes towards the west, though, coming in from eastern Oklahoma. We've got that good storm that is growing right now. But as of this time, as of this moment, our strongest storm is in southern Logan County. Let's see. Nothing new there. Latest scan still on the weaker side. Oh, now here's the absolute latest scan. All right, you see that? This thing has really collapsed. Still a lot of heavy rain, still some lightning, maybe not as frequent as it was a little bit earlier, but this hail pocket headed towards Blue Mountain has weakened quite a bit. Now, the National Weather Service may go ahead, keep this warning for a second, getting also confirmation. They're noticing some weakening in the storm too. We'll see if this warning is held, But right now, this hail is not reaching severe limits. To reach severe limits, you need hail the size of quarters. And right now, we're probably closer to the size of pennies. Still loud, but usually penny-sized hail won't do some damage. I mean, it could do some damage to some vegetation, but of course it's January right now. It'd be different if you had some nice, fresh spring flowers that you've been growing. That can get really disrupted by even penny-sized hail. That can get ripped up. But when it comes to property, roofs, vehicles, windshields specifically, penny-sized hail really doesn't do much to us, so that's good. But the hail core has really gone down. You see even a smaller hail drop there, just east of Magazine. You right over Blue Mountain. I know it's hard to see, but Blue Mountain, or the lake, Blue Mountain Lake is right here, where you kind of have that smooth, just because it's water. But anywhere around the terrain, we've got some small hail reporting. What we're probably going to do is wrap this up for a quick second. We're going to analyze the storm out towards the west. We're going to pause for a few moments here as we re-rack. Once again, if you are on the 5 News app, 5 Plus, also Facebook and our YouTube channel, you'll be able to track more with us as we come on in probably just a couple moments. We'll reset. I got to get some cameras moved, and then we'll watch these storms as they fire up ahead of this cold front, marching east as colder air is finally coming to Arkansas. Those days of the 70s are done, at least for a few days, as cooler air comes in. Snow chances tomorrow morning, lots to talk about. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local. As always, we'll keep you advised.